one of the most elaborate lottery scams in history. One man with inside access who actually fixed winning lottery numbers.
Prosecutors dubbed it a 21st century inside job.
He somehow manipulated the program so that he could predict the numbers that would be drawn.
Iowa, Colorado, Wisconsin, a triangle of suspected lottery scams in America's heartland.
This surveillance video showing the mastermind of a multi-million-dollar lottery scheme taking what prosecutors say was his final gamble.
He hacked into computers and installed sophisticated malware that was designed to vanish without a trace.
The claim for the Hot Lotto jackpot was being withdrawn, and that means someone has, in essence, just walked away from millions of dollars.
From the beginning, this has been one of the strangest, most unique cases ever in lottery history.
And talking about lotteries, don't gamble with your digital data. Today's sponsor, Guardio, is the best way to make sure that you, your accounts, and your money stay safe. Guardio is a browser extension and a mobile app that protects you from harmful links that hackers might send to your email, phishing attacks from any source, dangerous downloads, and annoying pop-ups. Their mobile app even has a 24-hour support system to help you if you're compromised. As we've seen in past videos, hackers don't really need your passwords in order to hijack your online accounts. Most people think that having two-factor authentication keeps their social accounts safe, but if a simple malware gets on your computer, it'll bypass all 2FAs and take over your social accounts through the access tokens that are in your browser. This happens by a simple malware that can reach you from Google ads, Facebook ads, and even fake Mr. Beast YouTube. And if you think it can't happen to you, well, you might want to read through Reddit's sea of people wondering how they got hacked while using 2FA. Seriously, guys, you want to be as safe as possible, and 2FA just isn't enough. Guardio has a bunch of great and super important features, but their account protection is my favorite one since it's a new patent technology that protects the access tokens so hackers can't use them. They offer a free security scan to see which threats are already on your device by visiting guard.io/thinker. You'll get 20% off and a 7-day free trial of the premium features such as real-time threat removal. So if you want a secure browsing experience, go to guard.io/thinker or use the link in the description and check out their affordable premium plan for full protection. Now, let's get back to the video. December 29th, 2010, Iowa, United States. It was a cold day and Christmas was just over. However, a bunch of people were anxiously awaiting the numbers for the Hot Ones lottery. The prize? A staggering $16.5 million US. The Iowa lottery quickly confirms that someone won the jackpot and asks for the person to come forward. Calls start pouring into the Iowa lottery headquarters and many claim to have won, but nobody provides the correct 15-digit serial number of the winning ticket. Days, weeks, and months go by, but the winner doesn't show up. Then, on the 9th of November 2011, almost an entire year after a winner was confirmed, the lottery's office phone began to ring again. Hello? Hi, I'm calling to cash in the winning ticket of last year's Hot Ones lottery. A lawyer named Philip Johnston contacted the headquarters and finally provided the complete 15-digit serial number of the winning ticket, and thus provided proof that he was the real deal. Johnston and the Iowa lottery employee then go on to talk for a bit, and everything seems fine. That is, until the lottery employee asks Johnston the following question. So, Mr. Johnston, what were you wearing when you bought the ticket? Sure, I was wearing a sports coat and gray flannel dress pants. Unbeknownst to Johnston, the employee had CCTV footage of the person who bought the ticket, and they were wearing something completely different than what he said. In fact, the buyer was wearing a dark hoodie and jeans. It almost seemed as if he was trying to hide his face. This made the employee slightly suspicious, and after a few more questions, Johnston eventually folded, stating that he wasn't the actual winner, but that he was a lawyer representing the winner who wished to stay anonymous. But to Johnston's disappointment, the lottery required the person who purchased the ticket to go public, or they wouldn't pay out their prize. Johnston answered this by saying that if his client couldn't be anonymous, they might just withdraw from the lottery claim altogether, and hung up on the lottery employee. The situation was extremely weird, and nobody had ever heard of something like this before. But this isn't where the story ends. A few weeks later, on the 29th of December 2011, only 2 hours before the ticket would expire, 2 suited men suddenly turned up at the lottery's headquarters. They quickly said that they had important business to do and claimed to be lawyers of a respected Des Moines law firm. And they weren't messing around. They pulled out the $16.5 million lottery ticket. And yes, it was the real deal. But it wasn't one of the lawyers claiming the prize. No, they were also representing a strange trust. To keep it short, a trust is basically a company that manages the assets of a person or another company known as their trustee, all while having a few privileges involving privacy and asset protection. Furthermore, it turned out that the trustee was a company in the Central American country of Belize, and their president was none other than Philip Johnston, the lawyer who tried to claim the prize a few weeks earlier. So let's take a step back for a minute to see what's going on here. First, we have Philip Johnston trying to claim the prize for his client, but he's turned down. Secondly, we have a Des Moines law firm trying to claim the prize for a shady trust, and this trust works on behalf of a company located in Belize, which coincidentally is one of the most famous tax and privacy havens in the world. After that, Philip Johnston pops up once again, but this time as the president of the strange Belizean company. And finally, Johnston also represents the mysterious person who won the lottery ticket. It was a pretty elaborate structure just to claim the lottery prize, but it was so shady that the Iowa Lottery Company once again declined to pay out and went on to ask the authorities to investigate the case. And they weren't wrong in doing so. The police took a look at everything and immediately opened a case to investigate the situation. But as the years went by, they were unable to identify the mysterious ticket buyer, and also weren't able to understand just what on earth Johnston had to do with all of this. Nevertheless, this would change on the 9th of October 2014, years after the winning ticket was bought, and as the police were about to give up on the case and decided to use their last resort. They published the CCTV footage of the ticket buyer and asked the public to help with the search. And this actually worked.
Iowa Division of Criminal Investigations. How can I help you?
Hi, I'm calling because of the lottery video you guys released. I know who it is.
The person who called the police was a man named Jason Marr, and to the surprise of everyone, he worked at the Iowa Lottery. Marr would go on to identify the mysterious ticket buyer as his colleague, Eddie Tipton, an information security director who, surprise, surprise, also worked for the Iowa Lottery. Everything seemed to point at Eddie Tipton, and since it's illegal for lottery employees to participate in the lottery, he had been caught red-handed. But identifying Tipton only raised more questions. Just how did Eddie Tipton get his hands on the $16.5 million lottery ticket from his own company, and is he connected to Philip Johnston? Everything just got a lot weirder, and allegations of Tipton manipulating the lottery's number generator quickly came up. However, tampering with the lottery's random number generator was pretty much impossible. This is because the device to generate the lottery numbers is in a locked glass-walled room, accessible only by 2 people at a time and only on camera. Furthermore, the machine is not connected to the internet or any other networks. Lastly, nobody was sure if Eddie Tipton ever even entered the room. But these doubts were quickly cleared after the lottery company found the safe room's activity notebook. In it, it stated that Tipton actually did access the room, although be it under the supervision of one of his colleagues. He entered the room one single time on the 20th of November of 2010. That day, he was tasked with adjusting the number generator's computer and setting the computer's device to daylight savings time. And this was the only moment in which Tipton could have tampered with the number generator. Coincidentally, on that particular particular day, the surveillance cameras experienced a glitch, capturing only 1 second of footage per minute, and this basically made it impossible to verify what Eddie and his colleague were doing in the room. The FBI, who were now also involved in the case, were certain that Tipton was behind the ordeal, and began questioning his colleagues and friends, who claimed that he was obsessed with rootkits and had a special self-destructing rootkit. To keep it short, a rootkit is malware that enables criminals to gain access and infiltrate machines without being detected, and if programmed properly, it can do whatever you want with the infected machine. And at that moment, the picture was getting pretty clear. An IT guy who was obsessed with hacking entered the safe room with a number generator, coincidentally a few weeks before he bought a $16.5 million winning lottery ticket. It seemed obvious that he had tampered with the machine, but there was still no proof of anything. Nevertheless, around the same time, the police finally discovered what Philip Johnston had to do with the entire ordeal. And to the surprise of everyone, he wasn't representing Tipton, nor did he create those layers of offshore companies to shield him. Instead, he was working for Robert Rhodes, who was Eddie Tipton's best friend, and once he was arrested and interrogated, he revealed everything. It turned out that the two had planned the entire scheme for months, from Tipton hacking the machine all the way to hiring Johnston to help with the offshore companies. But this was only the tip of the iceberg. As investigations, which now also included Rhodes, carried on, they discovered that this wasn't their first fraud. In fact, Tipton and Rhodes had been involved in 3 more cases of lottery fraud that had gone unnoticed. In 2005, Eddie Tipton had been part of the team that built a Colorado Lottery's random number generator. And coincidentally, Eddie's brother Tommy bought a ticket that later won $560,000. He later got the money after asking a friend to cash it for a percentage of the winnings. Then, in 2007, an LLC controlled by Robert Rhodes cashed in a $780,000 winning lottery ticket in Wisconsin. Unsurprisingly, the LLC later transferred most of the money to Tipton, indicating that he was the mastermind behind the scheme. Finally, another suspicious lottery win of $1.2 million was paid out to Kyle Kahn. It is thought that Kahn is a family member or close friend to Tipton. However, connections between the two haven't been confirmed. Either way, it's clear that Tipton was the mastermind behind one of the weirdest hacking schemes the US has ever seen. Furthermore, the malware used by Tipton is thought to not even have been that complex, and in fact, the success of these infiltrations was mostly thanks to the trust the lottery companies had with Tipton. The only question is how nobody ever noticed him plugging his USB into the machines that generate the numbers. Either way, greed got the better of Tipton, who was eventually arrested in 2015, and after confessing to his crimes involving Hot Lotto and several other lottery fixes, he was sentenced to 25 years in prison and had to repay $2 million to the lottery companies. Video narrated by Erik Peabody.